I don't think I do it.
But Arsenal started like house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show. I hope you are all doing well. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. And as promised, as things break, because we know it's going to be very, very busy summer, your boy Just Joe has got you covered. If you haven't already, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. As Danny says, please smash a like and subscribe. Jamie Dixon says, one last battering by Scum before the cruel nature of the championship. Cheers, Leeds. Top work. Yeah, it's been announced in the last hour that Leeds United will be playing Manchester United in Norway. And it could well be that one of our better players, Tyler Adams, could be lining up for Manchester United because he has been linked to them in the last couple of hours as well. And of course, as I mentioned on a number of occasions, Brendan Rodgers has now been linked to the Spurs job. They were turned down by Arne Slot in the last couple of hours. He's going to stay at Feyenoord, which is quite a change of events because we know Leeds United tried to get him and it seemed like that was a mover. And then obviously Spurs, I said even at the time that he would be made for someone like Spurs, but they haven't managed to convince him. So he's going to stay at Feyenoord. And they've now been linked to Rodgers. Now, naturally, it's only happened in the last couple of hours. You know, Matt Hayes, who I'll be speaking to at 6 p.m, by the way, we're in a WhatsApp group, and he thinks, I'm not too sure that in such a quick turnaround, he would be linked to the job. But it's an easy acquisition for Spurs. Spurs are in a real state of flux. I've just been chatting to someone there. I think Spurs will struggle now moving forward. Obviously, Harry Kane set to leave in the summer. And then, you know, Who's going to drop out the top 4 for Spurs now, for example? It's going to be a struggle for them. I honestly didn't think I'd be live until 6, and then I'd be seeing you on the late night Leeds as well. I went for my haircut this morning. I had my son, so I was up nice and early to get him ready for school. Went for my haircut. The queue was too long. Came home, stuck on Ant-Man, the latest Ant-Man that's on Disney Plus, and I fell asleep. And then I woke up to like loads of news. So like the title says on the old Twitter sphere, when it rains, it pours, man. When it rains, it pours. But let's kick off with some confirmed news in terms of instead of hearsay or rumours, if you like. It is, of course, the fact that Leeds United's first pre-season game has been confirmed. And our historic rivalry with Manchester United continues this summer as the two clubs meet in a pre-season game in Oslo. So we will play Manchester United on Wednesday, the 12th of July at 5 p.m. our time. And it's the first ever meeting between the two sides to be played in Norway. Our Nordic fan base will be very happy about this. We do have a lot of fans over in that part of Europe. And it's our first pre-season fixture ahead of the 23-24 campaign. It's more than likely that Leeds United will be a championship club at that time. It'll be the first time Leeds United have played a game in Norway in 8 years since facing Hoffenheim back in Lillestrøm back in 2005. And it does say further 23-24 pre-season dates will be announced in due course. Speaking about the announcement, Leeds United Executive Director Paul Bell. I've never ever heard of Paul Bell. Genuinely, this is the first time I've heard from Paul Bell. Why is that? Why aren't we hearing from Angus or anyone? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But Paul Bell said, we are really pleased to have secured this fixture against Man United, especially for the Leeds United fans in Norway. It speaks about the Scandinavian Supporters Trust. Obviously, it has over 8,000 members, many of whom regularly travel over to England. So they'll be happy about that. And listen, a trip to Norway isn't so much of a bad thing. Someone's just said £80 for a ticket. Is that how much it is just to get in? That's a bit much, isn't it? Oh, there we go. Tickets are priced at 1,075 NOK. So I guess that equates to £80. That is quite expensive, but yeah. Do you know what? I'm not too up on facing Manchester United in friendlies, to be fair. I remember when we played them in Australia, and I sort of got it because we're a Premier League club, but now we're a Championship club. It's a bit shit for me. I think Jamie hit the nail on the head when he said one last battering by Manchester United before the cruel nature of the Championship. Cheers, lads. Top work. Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. Listen, while we're talking about Manchester United, let's go straight to this, folks. So it's come out on Football Insider. Now, I will say you have to take their links with a pinch of salt, but it's come out from there that sources around Leeds United are fearful Tyler Adams will quit as Manchester United are ready to swoop. Leeds United fear they have no chance of keeping hold of Tyler Adams if they are relegated. That doesn't go along with what's been said by the likes of Graham Smythe and, of course, Phil Hay as well in The Athletic. But he has had a good season for Leeds United. You could argue the only decent transfer we made. If you look at all of them, Mark Rocker, McKennie, Rasmus, Voba, he's okay, I guess. But Tyler Adams has been the real standout. Cini would have been, but obviously, unfortunately for us, Cini's been injured far too much. And had he have been fit, it might have looked totally different. But, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Look, he signed for us for 20 million, including add-ons. We do have a 5-year deal. There is no release clause set. Look at and just while we're on the Cini injury, just like the Football Insider have said as well, his absence over the last 2 months with a hamstring injury has coincided with a wretched Leeds United run, which you have to agree with in that respect. You know, if Tyler Adams were fit, yeah, would we have been in this mess? I'm not too sure. Sources have said Adams is wanted by multiple clubs in the Premier League and in top European leagues, and Leeds are unlikely to keep hold of him if they go down. He's one of few United players capable of securing a 35 million plus fee, which will be needed if they don't have Premier League broadcasting next season. Let me just say this. There's not a chance Leeds United are able to get 35 million for him. I don't see it. But then again, like I said, you've got to take these articles with a pinch of salt. He is under contract till 2027. I don't believe there is a release clause. His tackles and interceptions stats were among the best in the Premier League in the first half of the campaign. We know that he played in the World Cup as well, and he's obviously the USA men's national team captain. As a Leeds United fan, if we do manage to keep him, you make him captain, you build the squad around him. I am going to say this now as well that people may disagree with. I don't think he's top 6 quality. I don't think he has enough on-ball ability to be able to mix it at the top. That's just my opinion. He's very much get the ball, give it away. Not in terms of give it to the opposition, but he's the water carrier, if you like. Give it to the people that can play. I do not rate Tyler Adams' on-ball ability as much as other players that can play in his position. So I'm not sure a move to top European clubs is on the offing. I'm not too sure. I wouldn't say he would fix Man United problems. I dare say Man United fans wouldn't be happy. Well, no, they wouldn't be. They'd see it as a bit underwhelming. Lervish says Adams is out of his depth in the Premier League. I totally disagree with that sentiment because, as I say, he had some of the best numbers in the Premier League in terms of interceptions, etc., and tackles. But that's what he's good at, right? That's what he's good at. He's not so good on the ball. So I'm not too sure I see that as having legs. But it'd really be frustrating if indeed Leeds United were to play Manchester United in July, and then obviously Tyler Adams was to line up for them. Let's hope that isn't going to be the case. If you haven't already, folks, let me remind you, please do smash a like on the video for me. So yeah, please do that for me. Someone's just said in the comments as well, YEP claiming QSI could be back in for Leeds investment. Not true. what's actually happened, bro, and this would really, really piss me off, I can't lie to you. So QSI, we know, who are very, very rich. They own PSG, apparently are in advanced negotiations to acquire Sampdoria with Andrea Radrizzani, which is insane, because if after all this time Radrizzani leaves us on his white horse, right, and he goes in and saves Sampdoria and then says, right, okay, we've got all this money from QSI as well. Like, as a Leeds United fan, it'd be hard not to be bitter about that fact. So L'Equipe report that Qatari Sports Investment, the owner of League One leaders PSG, sorry, are in advanced negotiations to acquire Serie A club Sampdoria, okay, as they continue to build out a multi-club project. A stake in Sampdoria would follow a deal struck in November last year to acquire a minority stake in Portuguese First Division outfit SL Braga. The Nasser El Khalifi-led entity is not going to acquire Sampdoria on their own. In the event that the bid they are currently part of is successful, they have decided to partner with Acer Ventures, owned by current majority shareholder in Premier League club Leeds United, in order to complete the deal. Radrizzani would be taking majority control of Sampdoria, with QSI attaining a minority investment in the outfit. There are additionally murmurings, according to the report, that QSI will be willing in the medium and long term to invest in Leeds. I don't see that. I don't see that. Like, why would that investment? That's where you've come from, Andy. I see. Sorry, mate. I've just read your thing and I've not actually read that article. I don't see it personally. I don't see it personally, not when the 49ers are ready to take us over. So going back to what the article says, it says the Radrizzani QSI bid for Sampdoria faces one other serious competitor at this stage, although their identity is yet to filter through. However, both the Italian businessman and the Doha-based entity are confident that they will win out on the basis of discussions that have been ongoing for several weeks. QSI are also discussing an acquisition of Malaga and are taking a minority stake in Brazilian side Santos. So it's clear that, you know, QSI are getting their fingers in all sorts of pies, as a lot of these clubs tend to do. You've just to look at Manchester City and what they're doing in terms of the amount of clubs that they own, part of that City group, if you like. I think as well, what I will say, PSG is obviously their jewel in the crown. So would you even want to be one of the, you know, feeder clubs, if you like, one of the outsiders of the main club, especially when you're in England? I'm not sure you'd want to be the front runner, if you like, of any sort of investment group. But it would leave a bitter taste in my mouth if indeed that Radrizzani moved to Sampdoria and joined forces with QSI and all the money got put in, because that's something that Leeds United thought would happen for quite some time. But obviously he jumped into bed with the 49ers, and the 49ers are going to take us over. And I guess morally, I'd rather us be owned by the 49ers, as some have already said in the chat. But it does go on to say that there's potential that they could also, you know, maybe get involved with the Leeds situation. But I'm not too sure that'll happen. Because, like I say, the 49ers are already ready to take majority share, aren't they? And I expect Monday, Tuesday, we'll start to hear announcement straight away. Matt Wood says, think it was Kinnear that pushed the 49ers as opposed to QSI. I'm not too sure on the ins and outs of that, but yeah, it looks like Radrizzani won't be taking over Sampdoria on his own. We know that he's not cash money anyway. We know that he's not cash money anyway, because he's always had to get investment. That's how he works. That's why he brought in the 49ers in the first place. There was talk of QSI at the time. That never happened. Remember, he was with them over in Qatar at the World Cup. I do want to actually just bring something up that someone tagged me in as well, just on Andrea, because Simon Jordan, who, to be honest, I like Simon Jordan. He's pretty forthright with his opinions. This came from Tom Cull on Facebook, but this is what This is what Simon Jordan had to say about Andrea Radrizzani. He said, having spent time with Radrizzani at the World Cup in Qatar, I have to say he is not the most endearing of fellas. I have great admiration for his acumen in the media world, but he struck me as an arrogant, offhand, and slightly away with himself. He was like a marginally more sophisticated version of former QPR owner Flavio Briatore. He had the old look at me, I've just arrived in the room mentality. This sort of attitude might be why deals have been so difficult to conclude for Leeds and why mixed messages have been sent out at this dysfunctional, incohesive club, because leadership has to start at the top. So that's quite scathing on Radrizzani. But listen, we know what Radrizzani's like. When the going's good, he's out there front and centre. But when the going's bad, he hides, right? Or he makes stupid... Even the message that he sent to Connor, that was purely a ploy to say, I care too, fans. You know, he knew that was going to be shared. You know, Connor's well within his rights to share it as well. I dare say he won't be sending in messages again. But we know with Radrizzani, he's like this, you know. As soon as we got saved from relegation, he's there with the Athletic and David Ornstein and Phil Hay talking about, oh, we could have died with Bielsa. Now it's impossible for us to be relegated and all this sort of stuff. You know, come on, back Bamba Dieng, all this BS, you know, all this BS. And he also removed Leeds United from his bio the other day, didn't he, on Twitter as well? But yeah, that's what Simon Jordan had to say on him. And I actually like Simon Jordan. People will disagree, but I don't mind him. And then this as well, folks, this came out within the last hour or so. It says Brendan Rodgers has been formally offered the opportunity to become the next Tottenham Hotspur manager. Spurs are trying to keep a low profile to avoid any further embarrassment in this case and will not say publicly that Rodgers has been offered the position. There is still the possibility that he could reject the deal, which is by no means done. That came from transfer.com. But just on Brendan Rodgers, I did say yesterday, I do not believe he would drop down to the EFL. As big as I believe Leeds United are, okay, and it might be delusions of grandeur, but as big as I believe Leeds United are, I don't see Brendan Rodgers dropping down to the EFL. He's had his time here. He's had his time there with Swansea. He's been at Celtic. He's been at Liverpool. He's been at Leicester, winning them an FA Cup. There's not a cat in hell's chance for me, and I'll be wrong. I'll be happy to be wrong, but there's not a cat in hell's chance that he drops down to the Championship. I set my stall out on that a while ago. He is linked. I think the Athletic put it out there. But even if, like someone said yesterday, Joe, he won't wait for a job. Of course he will. You know, the Premier League showed this season it sacked the most managers. We had 3 managers. Southampton had 3 managers. Leicester had 2. You know, there's been many, many managers. I mean, Tottenham had 3 managers. Tottenham themselves had 3 managers. Conte, Stellini, Mason. I said yesterday, if Arne Slot went to Spurs and it went tits up, yeah, Rodgers would be the prime candidate. Now Arne Slot hasn't even took that job. He's staying at Feyenoord. He's happy where he is. I still think they might look where else, but where else can Spurs go at this point? Spurs fans will be fuming with it, I can't lie. But, you know, like Rennie says, too much pride. Yeah, too much ego. Too much ego. And I just think even if Rodgers doesn't take one before the summer, he will wait for a Premier League job, as will Graham Potter. These managers that I mentioned, it won't happen. Iriola was Victor Orta's choice. I don't see the 49ers going back in for that. I think the 49ers will go for a domestic coach. I do believe that. I believe Russell Martin could have worked. He's now signed on with Southampton. I wouldn't mind someone like Carrick. I wouldn't want Vinny Company because I'm still not sure on Vinny Company. There's links to people. Apparently Vieira, I'm in a WhatsApp group. Apparently Vieira's spoken to 3 Premier League clubs. I don't see Leeds United. I don't want Vieira is what I'll say. I give anybody a chance, of course. But I'm not sure on Vieira. Postecoglou, he would not come either. Carlos Corberan, potentially. I think they will go down that route. someone who is I was going to say domesticated, like a cat. Yeah, I know a company wouldn't leave Burnley. I'm not saying that, Sam. I was just going to say someone of that ilk. But Michael Carrick would be a sound option, along with Kieran Scott at Middlesbrough as well, if you could get them both out there. But we'll have to wait and see. All I know is, like, for me now, I just want to get Sunday out of the way now, because I'm convinced we're going down. So it's a case of, let's get Sunday out of the way, get it boxed off, confirm that we're going to be an EFL football club, and then start to see it moving. Who's on about racism in the chat, please? I don't know what's being said, but I hope no one's being racist in the chat. They better not be. Should be getting binned off forever. Would Carrick even manage Leeds? I think he would, yeah. Of course he would, yeah. For sure. Carrick isn't going to go to Leeds being an ex-Man United player. I wouldn't be so sure on that. Nick G says Van Nistelrooy would be a brave choice, but I'd go for it. I'd go for it as well, man, for sure. But I just think, I'm not saying, like where Jamie says, there's other coaches in Europe that are better than some domestic coaches, which I agree. But I just think that the 49ers will want to go that route. I don't think they'll want to go for anything flashy. They'll want to go tried and tested. Ramalai 9, yeah, of course, yeah. There's a lot of recency bias with regards to Brendan Rodgers. At the end of the day, he's a top manager. He nearly won the league with Liverpool. He won it all with Celtic and won an FA Cup with Leicester City. Okay, never finished them quite in the top four, but you can't tell me you can't come in at Leeds United and turn this ship around and get us back at the first time of asking. I think Brendan Rodgers and Leeds United would walk it. I genuinely believe that. If you can sell a project to Brendan Rodgers, you can keep hold of your better players. Of course, we'll have to lose some, but if we can keep hold of Adams, of Nonto, of Somerville, of Vorber, with someone like Rodgers, I think we would come back at the first time of asking. It's important to get the right appointment, for sure. For sure. But we'll have to wait and see what's going to transpire, what's going to develop for Leeds United. I think at the minute it's all hearsay. We don't actually know, what's going to happen yet. I think one thing I'm certain of, I mean, if we stay up, but that's like a 5% chance. For me, what's for certain, we see Melier leave, we see Harrison leave, we see Rocker leave, we see a lot of players leave. That I'm sure of. The uncertainty is around who's going to be the manager, what players and what style are they going to go for. Because that's what I'd like us to do, like we did with Bielsa, is adopt a style in the Championship that's entertaining, that's pleasing on the eye, that wins you games of football, and also have a little bit of pragmatism in there as well. Because as much as I love Bielsa, sometimes we were sitting ducks against top teams. We were okay in the Championship, but someone who has that tactical flexibility. That's why I like Potter as much as I do, because he has that. And then we adopt a certain style so that when we come into the Premier League, we can continue that and make sure whoever is the director of football has the correct contingency plan. Because and people will disagree, but had we have never, look, if we'd have backed Bielsa, we won't be in this mess. But it makes you wonder, had we have got the appointment right after him, would we have been in this mess? Because that's where we've messed up, They told us it was a succession plan from Bielsa. It couldn't be further from the truth. It was absolutely shocking. It was Sunday League football. It was kick and rush, wasn't it? Let's be real here. We need to ensure that we adopt a certain style. We come into the Premier League playing that style. And if indeed it does go tits up, that the contingency plans are there. you know. And that'll be whoever's, if we've got a recruitment manager, if we've got a director of football, however it looks. Danny, honestly, you're wild if you don't want Graham Potter. You are wild if you don't want Graham Potter. Yeah, it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? But yeah, well, you know, that Bielsa era was ripped up and gone, right? Good point, Joe. With Bielsa, it was always going to be about the appointment when he left. Yeah, it was, right. Please beat Spurs from an Aston Villa fan. Poker fan 23. I'm not too sure that's going to happen, bro. Alex says, can't wait to batter you in pre-season. You probably will, bro. It is what it is. Sam Pauly plays Bielsa, boys. He's obsessed about Bielsa. He is the man. Look at what he did with Chile. Don't want Benitez either. I think you'd be wrong to say that. You don't want Rodgers or Potter, Philip. Why? Like, who are you bringing to the table if you don't want managers like that? I think it's mad. I do. I genuinely think it's mad. But listen, loads more will come out in the wash for sure about the shit show that was the ownership, about the new owners, and we'll move. So we'll have to wait and see. Listen, I didn't want to leave it too long because I'll be back at 6 o'clock with Matt Hayes from the Tottenham Hers blog to discuss our game on Sunday, our final game as a Premier League club up against Europa Conference League chasing Tottenham Hotspur. And then we'll be back tonight as well, rounding off all the latest news. Listen, smash a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace.